Welcome to Ideagen TV guest-hosted series with Microsoft's Gretchen O'Hara. Gretchen, welcome.
Thank you, George. So excited to be here.
Well, you know, this is one of our favorite and most watched shows on Ideagen TV, and today could not be more exciting. We also have joining us Cooper Henderson, Vice President for Executive Engagement at Ideagen. Cooper, welcome.
Hi, George. Thanks. Glad to be here.
It's really exciting because we just completed 2 sessions of the Ideagen Future Global Leaders Academy. Gretchen, you were one of the instructors and provided so much insight and perspective and most importantly, perhaps inspiration for all the work that's taking place at Microsoft. Where do you begin? And we're so excited to have a cohort of students that were selected for recognition that participated in this class with the Ideagen Future Global Leaders Academy. Cooper, take it away on introductions.
Yeah, George, I had the great opportunity to work with some amazing young minds. We have Minna here with us, Olivia, Steph, Ria, and Julia. And they put together an amazing project coming up with a solution for quality education.
Welcome.
So glad to have you.
Welcome all for joining on Ideagen TV, and congratulations again on an incredible accomplishment. Really focused today, wanting to really highlight these incredible students on the journey of focusing on a very particular important area in our SDG goals number 4, quality in education. So this group of incredible young women have come together to really focus on a solution to exchange of students' ideas and resources between schools, developed countries and developing countries. And here today, I'm so excited that you've come into studio so that we can learn a little bit more about what your solution was and how you're actually focused on the Quality Education Hackathon. Are you ready to get started? All right. Okay. I promise not to put you on the spot, but we're excited here, and the audience is excited to know, you know, what brought you all together. So maybe just to set the stage for our global audience, could we just go around really quickly around the horn and just tell us a little bit about yourself so we know who we're talking with?
So I'm Menna Solomon. I'm in 11th grade. I go to school in New York City, and I'm 16 years old.
Great.
I'm Olivia Jacobs. I'm also from New York City, and I'm a senior, and I'm 17.
Great.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Chan. I'm a rising junior. I live in a small town in Long Island, New York, and I'm 16.
I'm Ria Balwa. I live in Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm 16, and I'm an upcoming senior.
Great.
Hi, I'm Julia Rocha. I'm 15. I'm a rising sophomore, and I live in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil.
Fantastic. Well, incredible representation. You all coming together, working on the world's most vexing challenges. We have a big, ambitious set of goals ahead of us. And Microsoft, while focused on the SDGs, needs all the help we can get. And one of the things that I think is so empowering is not only see an entire female panel here actually focusing on this, but age is not discriminatory in how we can think about creative problems, how we can look at solving some of the world's biggest challenges. And as part of my lecture and coming together in the class, you know, we need really to think outside of the box and creativity such as yourselves to go after these challenges in new and different ways. And so I just, one, thank you for coming together to do this, but 2, just don't stop, because we need that incredible thinking, and that comes at any age, and you are on your way to doing some incredible big things, especially the group of high school students that you are. So again, congratulations on that. Maybe just to kick off, I would love for you to help share, and what any of you take this really, but you know, what got you interested in the Sustainable Development Goals? What got you started and wanted to make you, you know, sort of take a class on this? Any of you can jump in.
Okay, well, I'd say in my case, at my school, I took a class this year on social entrepreneurship, and we worked to create businesses that have a social impact, targeting that specific SDGs that interested us. And I think then my mom told me about this course, and I was like, oh, this is super interesting. And after really enjoying, working on solving sustainable goals through businesses, I was really interested in taking the class and really enjoyed it.
That's fantastic. Anyone else want to share your story?
I can share.
Perfect.
So I actually engrossed myself into the SDGs when I first learned about them in freshman year. And they've been my greatest interest ever since regarding international relations. So I wanted to learn more about them and how I can educate the youth and how I can make a change in the world.
That's fantastic. Okay, anyone last in terms of how you got interest? Anyone else want to share on that?
I can go.
Okay.
I do debate in high school, which has a lot of focus on a specific foreign relations issue, and that's been super interesting and enlightening for me. And when I heard about this class, I thought it was so interesting that we would have the opportunity to actually come up with a creative solution to an international relations, kind of the heart of international relations in the world. And that was just so interesting, and it proved to be a really rewarding experience. So I'm glad I did that.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you all for sharing. So let me ask you now as a group. You've come together, you went through the class, and you had this inspiration for quality education. And so how did you each play a role in the collaboration process? How did you come together and share with the audience how you work together to come up with the idea and solution? Okay, I'm going to start calling on you. Steph, tell me what your thoughts on that.
Sure. So when we first discussed what goal we wanted to focus on, we realized being a group of privileged girls, we have one thing that a lot of girls don't, which is a quality education. So by focusing on this, we can also focus on a lot of other goals, such as SDG number 6, which is clean water and sanitation. So just emphasizing the importance of quality education and what it can do to other goals.
Awesome. Perfect. What about Julia? How did you all work together on this?
I think Steph mainly said it all, but I think that we all thought that education is kind of the base for a working society, and without it, many will lack money, jobs, sanitation, information, opportunities in general. And also gender equality, which is one of the SDGs, was also a main factor for our choice in choosing to focus on quality education.
Perfect. Well, and so maybe explain to the audience, and I'll let you jump in between you guys before I call on you. What was your solution on quality education? Just in a nutshell, explain to you what you came up with.
So kind of at the heart of what Steph was saying about how we are so lucky to be privileged girls receiving a quality education, we realized how much we can do and our schools in general could do to help underprivileged schools in other more developing nations. And so the solution that we came up with as a group was, what if we somehow facilitated a partnership between schools in developed nations, like the schools we go to, and schools in developing nations? And that kind of was the start of the solution, and out of that kind of bloomed all of the different parts of that solution. So I think Liv might want to talk about like the iPad program and stuff like that.
Livia, do you have something to add on that?
Yeah, so essentially what we try to focus on is creating like a virtual education, and what we wanted to do was partner with different like educational businesses or companies such as like Khan Academy, and provide students in those developing nations with the virtual lessons on there, through also providing them with it's called like the one laptop per child company, which basically has created $100 like very durable laptop.
Yeah.
And
Durable
so,
and affordable device. Yeah.
exactly. And so what our idea was to provide them to schools in like sub-Saharan Africa, for instance, and then with that also have the virtual lessons available on those laptops so that, you know, we can give these children like a very wide variety of like courses.
Right. No, and it's incredible because sometimes, and you mentioned a little bit of privileged education, you know, we forget oftentimes that just the simple ability to have access, or the simple ability to have a device, or, you know, being able to be able to even have transportation to come to a lesson in some way, these are things that become big barriers. And so for you, thinking through that becomes incredible to unlock sort of education and quality education for all. So it's really incredible how you guys are thinking through that. You know, let me just ask you, what is the biggest lesson that you learned out of the Ideagen Future Global Leaders Academy? You went through the course. What was just one thing that you thought as a good takeaway that you'd want to share with the audience? Maybe who we started with? Maybe Mina?
I think my big takeaway was that people our age can come up with solutions to these things, and we have voices that come up with creative solutions that maybe people who are adults don't necessarily look at. We have a mind that's so focused on creativity and innovation that we're willing to take a risk and come up with a solution that might have some risks attributed to it, but it's ultimately helpful to everybody. So I think that listening to young people and having young people come up with solutions, you saw this not just in our group, but in all the groups that presented, is really important to, the future in general.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you are demonstrating what is so important to think about, that empowerment and that risk taking and the confidence that you have the capabilities to really bring something very valuable to the table and how we solve these solutions. So that's incredible. Anyone else want to share a lesson learned from the Academy?
I think I can share. I think that one of the main lessons I took is that there's always something that we can do to help the planet, even if it's just spreading awareness, and that there are also many different, let's say, realities around the world that we don't necessarily face every day, but many people struggle with it. So, for example, access to clean water, and that we as a new generation of young leaders should do something about it and create these creative and innovative solutions to the problems.
That is fantastic. That is so. Thank you all for sharing that. So maybe a couple of you that haven't spoken on lessons learned, what would be a piece of advice that you would give this audience to help achieve the SDGs?
One piece of advice I would give is when we're trying to achieve these SDGs, it's important to focus long term instead of just seeing the short term, because although it may not seem like that much is changing, long term it's going to be very positive
Really
impact
well
for
said.
that country.
Anyone else on advice?
That would help.
Sure. One piece of advice that I want to give is to keep an open mind. Like Ria said, everything or little things, whether they be little or small, little or big, something's always going to be changing, and anything is possible. So it's always important to do your research before assuming something, and to continue working at something and stop, never give up.
That's incredible. Well, in closing, you know, one of the things that you've really demonstrated and so critical is the both innovation, but all of you have had demonstrated just an incredible effective leadership, long-term thinking, vision, taking vision into action, being able to showcase something that you can be able to really help at a broad global scale. And so how do you feel like that combination of leadership and innovation is going to help us achieve the SDGs? What have you learned out of the Academy that helps you think about those two components?
In this academy, we learned about the 5-step design process. And through that, we learned that first you need to come up with many ideas and not just focus on one, and you want to brainstorm a lot. So by using your creativity and innovation, it's important to think about all the ideas and never have a closed mind, like Stephanie was saying earlier.
Really well said. So growth mindset, really opening up to multiple ideas, and connecting both innovation and leadership. Any other last thoughts on the combination of that in your academy? Okay, well,
I guess. Oh,
no, go
sorry.
ahead.
I guess just piggybacking off of what everyone was saying, knowing that we can make the change and we can be the leaders to find the innovation is so important, especially as young women. I think that it was a really empowering experience for people to tell you you can come up with a solution, and I believe in you, that your idea is a good idea. So just believing in yourself and having a really open mind is really important.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I think Steph, Julia, Mina, Olivia, Ree, thank you so much for joining me today and the audience on what you've learned, lessons learned, sharing your solution addressed on quality education hack. I wish you all the best of luck. And I really hope that you continue collectively on this group idea, because I think your work and your approach into quality education is going to change the world. So thank you all for joining today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
What an incredibly inspiring conversation from that group of future global leaders as they discuss their interest in the SDGs, as well as their solution to help achieve goal number 4, quality education. Next up, we have the second selected group from our summer's Future Global Leadership Academy. Please enjoy the interview as they talk about their solution to help achieve goal number 6, clean water and sanitation.
Welcome back to Ideagen TV's guest-hosted series with Gretchen O'Hara. Gretchen, welcome back.
Thank you, George. So excited to be here today.
You know, what an incredible show. You know, we just completed the Ideagen Future Global Leaders Academy. We interviewed the first session selected participants that were recognized. We're about to recognize the second cohort. Super exciting. What are your perspectives from the first part?
You know, George, I will tell you, incredible individuals, incredible young women that came on the last panel. I would say my biggest takeaway really was the advice and the thinking that they brought to the table on how we can all get after the SDG goals together, and having that insight into thinking about long-term thinking about risk-taking, thinking about innovation and leadership and what that takes. These are all things that are natural lessons for all of us, and to hear this from a collective group of high school students was just absolutely inspiring. Didn't you think, George?
Incredibly inspiring. And
Yeah.
You know, the ability for these students to truly believe that they can change the world because they can is really accomplishing what the goal was, right? To be utilizing design thinking strategies juxtaposed upon the Sustainable Development Goals. I mean, it's incredibly powerful to think that one person can do that.
No question. And I think the other thing that's interesting, and we'll hear this from our next set of panels, is the collective group that comes across all backgrounds and geographies to come together with different experiences to focus on these things. And every individual has an incredible opportunity to give their insight and background and apply their thought leadership into this together. And that's really exciting to see as well from the academy work.
Well, and by the way, you were an instructor as part of the
I was
Future Global Leaders Academy. So a lot of the inspiration and a lot of the techniques, insights, and perspectives came from your presentation that now empowered and inspired these students. And I want to also take a moment to introduce Cooper Henderson from Ideagen. Welcome, Cooper.
Glad to be back.
Well, it's great. Cooper was one of the instructors as well for the Ideagen Future Global Leaders Academy, and will be introducing the second group that will be recognized today.
Correct. I had the privilege of working with these 4 young ladies over the course of 2 weeks. The last group was amazing and insightful, and I'm really excited to hear what this next group has to say about their goal of clean water and sanitation. I'd like to welcome Skylar, Allie, Nia, and Alyssa. Thanks for joining us.
Great to be here.
Welcome, everybody. We're so excited to have you on for this interview, for you to really share your thinking and approach to the SDGs to our global audience today. And we get to hear from all of you. So welcome again. Congratulations on your hack. As Cooper mentioned, for the audience, this is really addressing the Sustainable Development Goal number 6, clean water and sanitation. And from my understanding and watching some of the video on this, this really solution includes nanofibers, cloths that extract condensation from the air to create potable water. And the other half of the solution, if I get this right, and we'll dig into this a little bit more, really is focused on the desalination machines and employing them in really strategic areas across the globe. And being able to see this combination then of both clean water and sanitation into the areas that need this most is incredible work. And so I'm so excited, Nia, Skylar, Allie, Lisa, for you guys to join today to really share with us all here your accomplishments. So you ready to jump in?
Yes.
All right. Okay. This will be fun. Trust me, this will be fun. So maybe just setting the stage for our audience here today, maybe just quickly tell a little bit about yourself and your role and responsibility in the group. And maybe we'll just start at the top with Skylar and just go all the way down.
Okay. So hi, I'm Skylar Palestine. I'm 16 years old and I'm from Los Angeles, California. When the school year starts, I'll be going into 11th grade. And I am on the secretariat of my school's M1 team, which is what got me into the SDGs in the first place. My role in the project included writing some of the scripts, mostly my own, and making the slides for my part of the presentation, which was the explanation of our solution.
Great. Thank you. Allie.
Hi, I'm Allie Cooper. I'm from Westchester, New York. I'm 14 and I'm going to be a sophomore when the school year starts. I like to consider myself a young activist, and I also like to bake, play tennis, and sing.
Fantastic.
So my role in the project was mostly focusing on financial aspects and partnerships. So I focused on trying to figure out how much this would cost and where we would find funding, and what companies we could partner with to help us to kind of work together and support our solution.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Mia Godar, and I am 15, and I live in Los Angeles, California. I will be a sophomore as when the school year starts. And my role in our project was basically giving an introduction and leading people into our actual project and explaining what SDG goal number 6 was and what targets we'd be mainly focusing on in achieving.
Fantastic. Lisa.
Hi, I'm Elisa Santos. I'm 18 years old from the Philippines, and this coming school year, I'm going to be entering college. And I'm really interested in like business-related things. So my role for this project was that I was the one in charge of the design thinking process, as well as one of the countries in which we plan to implement the solution.
Fantastic. Well, what a great group of women and individuals from all parts of the geography. So really, really incredible here. So as future global leaders, how do you think is the best approach to get youth involved in the UN's SDGs?
So first of all, I think it's really important to educate people what the SDGs exist and specifically what they are. So before doing MUN, I really had no clue what the SDGs were and how people my age and people around the world could work to solve them. So I think the first step is getting people to understand what they are and that they exist.
Right. Absolutely. And that applies to more than just youth, for sure. So really good point. Anyone else in terms of how to get more youth involved?
So I think that an important way to get the youth involved is through schools, because schools is really the main way that youth is connected. So through optional classes and clubs like after school, I think are like the main ways that we need to get the youth involved in finding a solution and really helping out the world in the goals.
Great idea. Any last thoughts?
I also believe, yeah,
go ahead.
for the youth to be involved, it's like it's also important for them to be involved in social media as well. Because right now we're exposed to a lot of information online given this pandemic. So yeah.
Really, really good point. I mean, going into traditional schools, making sure awareness is there, using the platforms that we have available, all really important, I think, for us to rally behind. And I think great feedback for our audience as we think about more engagement and getting more youth coming through here for sure. What do you think is the biggest inhibitor to reaching the SDG, either the one that you focus on for your hack, or just in general as you learn more about the UN's SDG initiative?
For us, we realized that people just naturally tend to be a little selfish, and it creates a bigger problem because they don't look outside of a bubble they surround themselves in. And you need to be able to educate yourself before you can really make any progress in the right direction to achieving the targets and goals.
Really, really well said. Any other thoughts on inhibitors to reach the SDGs?
So I think that it's also really difficult for people to see the SDGs as something that they can impact, because it seems like such a broad topic, and a lot of people think that there has to be one solution that can fix a single goal, but really one solution can make a big difference without, many solutions have to work together in order to solve a goal, and it can't just be one big thing, and it's really hard for people to break it down into parts in their mind, I think.
Yeah. Really, really good point. So you went through the academy, and you talked a little bit about some of the challenges and blockers that we faced. How did design thinking lesson? How did that help you formulate your potential solution?
The design thinking process helped us in a way because it gave us like a sort of process in which we have to solve for and look for the solution. Because first in the design thinking process, it helped us in terms of having and showing perspective with like the people involved in the problem as well. And by knowing which creative ways and alternative solutions can be done in order to have an effective impact and solution to solve the problem.
Really, really helpful. And any other thoughts on the design thinking approach? Did it help on your solution hack?
It did, because we needed to consider how we had to use other companies and how the people who were going to be using our solution, how it was going to impact them and how it would work in different areas.
That's excellent. One of the things, going back to the beginning of your solution, really showcased the power of innovation in your hack, and just really, really interesting in terms of that coming together with sort of the leadership and broad thinking in your approach. How did you incorporate innovation into your work? How did that come to be?
Innovation was really important in our solution because we really combined a bunch of existing technology, as long as some very new technology like solar-powered desalination machines and nanofiber cloths. We incorporated them into our solution, where they're like the vital factors that we need in order to purify the water and get it out to the people. So our solution was a transportation system, but that would be impossible without the technology and innovation that already existed.
Yeah. Incredible thinking. Any other last thoughts on that? I think very, very well said. One of the things I talked about in my course, and I know across the academy, was the importance of this cross-sector collaboration, private and public partnerships, the need to bring various groups together to really solve these challenges. And so as you think about the cross-sector collaboration and innovation that we just talked about with the audience, which is so vital, how do you think these things have come together to really help address solving the world's most vexing issues?
So you need the opinion and viewpoints from everyone from different areas in the industries, and they all have different ideas on how to come up with a solution. So when you combine all of those, you have a much stronger idea to create solutions. And for us, we would meet outside of our class time in meetings to make sure that our work was at the best point it could be at when we presented.
That's incredible. You know, what you're highlighting in a way, yeah, so important is the diversity of thought, and how diversity is so important when you're thinking about addressing challenges and problems, and making sure that we have and continue to have, quite frankly, diversity of thought. And then you brought up, you know, collaboration, and you think about inclusiveness and how you all come together and solving that collaboration. Tell me a little bit more and share with the audience how you came together to work on this. Like, how did the collaboration work specifically with you on this team?
We split the work up. So I would start off, we like delegated the work. So I would do one part, Ali would do another, Alyssa, and so forth. So I would focus on the introduction. And by meeting outside of the class time, we needed more time than was given to be at the best we could be.
Yeah, the four of us split up the work and we all worked really well together. We used time outside of our classes to make sure that our work was the best that it could be. And the four of us got pretty close over that time because we got to learn so much about each other and how we think.
Incredible. Incredible. And Alyssa?
I feel like what made it interesting is that we all had different kinds of ideas, and because of that, we integrated all our ideas in order to form this solution, which showed how unique it was because we integrated the existing solutions that we have right now. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you've demonstrated that incredible magic of diversity of thought and inclusion and collaboration of how you work together. And I think the more that you can bring that into, you know, your daily activities and spreading the work on how we accomplish our SDG goals is going to be incredible. And that goes on to leadership. And all of you clearly wouldn't be here if you did not have a strong sort of leadership bent into what you're doing. So as a future global leader, what would be the leadership insights that you found most important in this work in the academy that would really help achieve the global goals by 2030? I'm like stumping you.
Yeah, from in this program, what I realized is it's important to be an open-minded leader and someone who's empathetic, because for people to follow you, you must understand where they're coming from and their problems and what they're experiencing, for them to be able to follow the lessons that you teach them and what you want to implement for them to follow as well. So yeah.
Fantastic. Empathy is such a critical one we're practicing at Microsoft every day as leaders. Any other leadership qualities that you found useful to help?
Yeah, so I think that it was really important that we were all like really strong voices, and we were all leaders, because the way that like we all had very equal passions to making a solution. So I think that the fact that we were all really passionate and that we all wanted to get a solution really helped us to, you know, make such a great solution in such a little amount of time. So like, if we were working together with one person who was really in charge, I feel like it wouldn't have worked out as well, since we were all leaders instead of having one kind of delegated person who was like leading us. So I think that leadership is really important, that you work with people who are equally as passionate about you, and who, you know, there isn't just going to be one leader if you want to have a successful solution.
Absolutely. Very, very well said. Any last thoughts on leadership from lessons learned?
So to add on to what Ali said about there not being one leader for our group and for the four of us all working together, we were also really good at being able to compromise with each other, which is something that I think is really important quality in a leader, because we were able to take everybody's ideas and combine them and make them work into one, rather than saying no up front or saying yes up front.
Very well said. I mean, really, incredible insight around empathy, empowerment, growth mindset, the opportunity, to say yes, not no. How can you? Your point that there isn't one leader, that collaboration becomes absolutely critical from leadership, all of these things. Thank you for sharing with our audience. Thank you for being able to see sort of those opportunities and things that we continue to practice, quite frankly, every day as leaders in the industry as we address these big global challenges. And we need all of that, coming to the table. And so, thinking about the Sustainable Development Goals, and what would you wish more young people across the planet were aware of?
I think, first of all, the existence of the SDG goals, but more than that, the idea that one person genuinely can make a difference. So I think what stops a lot of people from taking action is the belief that they're not enough for their impact to be significant, but it's not true. So I think that's something that a lot of people need to hear.
Very well said.
And I also think that people see the one big goal and they're like, how can you possibly completely end world hunger in 10 years? And what they don't realize is that there's multiple smaller targets and smaller parts to each goal. And by achieving each goal at a time, you're going towards a bigger picture and helping in general.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. You bring up such a good point. And I would say not just the youth addressing this area, but adults and companies and industry, is sometimes the goal seems so unattainable or so big. I don't know how to get started, or if I get started, it's not going to make a difference. And for everyone in the audience today, and why we're all here listening and supporting the great work that you're doing, is that everybody makes a difference. Every sort of voice counts, and everything that you do will accrue to something bigger. And so it's really well said on the importance of just making sure that young people everywhere know, through education, through social media that you talked about, just a general awareness, because everyone can do their part, incorporated into clubs, into the academic curriculum. These are all things that can ground all of us to really harness the power of the next generation to get after these goals and to get accomplishment of it, and quite frankly, the time that we have left to do it, because they're big and they're bold. But with minds such as yourselves, there's something that we can really harness everyone to get after them. So I really appreciate you all coming on to share with our audience today. Congratulations on the hack and your accomplishment at the Academy. Spread the word of what you've learned and how everyone can get involved. It's really incredible, I would say, to see what you've come up with from a solution perspective around clean water and sanitation, what you've been able to do in terms of collaboration, and quite frankly, how you're learning to work together as leaders to go accomplish these big goals that we have to get after. So thank you all for your time today, and really appreciate your ongoing support and commitment for the UN 2030 agenda.